You're listening to Beyond the Music, and I'm your host, just some guy named Jay. In this edition of Beyond the Music, we're interviewing rising singer Matthew Schultz. Matthew Schultz talks to us about his singles, the remix of Money and Me with Harlem's Jim Jones, working alongside an American Idol star before the TV fame, juggling his day life with his music life, and a lot more. And before I get into this interview, I just want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, The Giant Blast. The Giant Blast is one of the largest email blast distribution lists on the web today, with over 100,000 email accounts subscribed. Not only is it a large email blast slash distribution list slash newsletter for entertainment, they also do marketing and promotions for rising indie bands, singers, and rappers. So definitely check into that. So if you're looking to get your music heard by a broader audience, you should definitely check out the Giant Blast. They could definitely get you more hits, get more people to your Reverb Nation page, to your Twitter page, get more people checking out your music in general, also get DJs playing your music, feedback, and also get you more blog posts as well. So definitely check out the Giant Blast. And also, if you have a product to sell or a service to provide, using an email blast and using the Giant Blast promotional service is a great way to create awareness and increase revenue. So definitely check them out, the Giant Blast. I'm going to put all the information in the information box below. I'm also going to put Matthew Schultz information in the information box below. So if you're feeling this interview and you want to check out more of his music, we'll definitely have it down there. You can follow him on Twitter, check out his music on his official website and all that. So let's just get into this interview. All right, you're listening to Beyond the Music. I'm your host, just some guy named Jay. And we have Matthew Schultz with us right now. Matthew Schultz, what's up?
How you doing, buddy? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. So how you doing today?
Everything's great. I'm out here in New Jersey. I just actually finished up my day job. I'm actually vice president of a bank, so I had a busy day today, and then now looking forward to doing an interview with you.
Definitely. So yeah, let's definitely get into this interview. So how long you been singing?
Wow. Well, I started singing and playing the guitar at an early age of about 8 years old. I fell in love with the guitar first and foremost. So all my uncles used to play guitars, so every time that we were around, at all of our Christmas parties and our get-togethers, they would always get out the guitars and play, and I fell in love with it. I became infatuated with it. I picked up the guitar. I basically self-taught myself how to play, and along with playing the guitar, it was just a natural thing to start singing. So I started singing, songwriting, and it led me into high school where I started a band, and a funny thing was that I needed an actual singer to fit the style of music at the time because I was more focused on playing guitar. So I had a really cool kid that was in drama class that one of my good friends brought to me, and his name was Daughtry. And I brought him into my garage band at the time. We ended up playing and becoming a band and playing through high school. And needless to say, he ended up becoming a rock icon. He is the lead singer of the band, Daughtry, named after. Did really well, so I'm very proud.
Wait, say that last part you cut out a little bit. Could you repeat that last part you cut out a little bit? Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. So I ended up starting a band, and the singer that I brought into the band, because I was more focused on playing the guitar at the time, was Daughtry. And needless to say, he ended up becoming a rock icon, and he did very well with American Idol. Now he's a multi-platinum artist, so I'm just proud to be associated with him, and I'm proud to play with him, and one of the early influences bringing him into music. It was just a really cool thing.
Oh, okay. See, now you answering that one question just answered about a couple of more questions I had coming up. So I'm glad you elaborated on that. But how would you describe your sound as an artist as a whole?
Well, I think it's different. I think that what I bring to the table, I have a low tone, baritone type, vocal, but my music that I try to incorporate is more so a blend of everything. I was in a rock band in high school, but I love hip hop. I was growing up listening to, Notorious Big and, all the old school, De La Soul and Tribe Called Quest and Dot Effects, you name it, So that was my love. I used to listen to, I used to play football, so I used to love listening to those
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now we're going to get off the music for just a split second. I just want to dip into the personal right quick. Now you say you're the vice president of a bank, right?
Yes, Residential Finance Corporation. I'm in charge of opening up offices all over the country for the bank, so it's pretty cool.
Ah, okay, okay. Now how is juggling music? Now are you able to juggle the music and do that at the same time pretty well, or how is that like?
I am, knock on wood, the banking career, it's becoming more and more turnkey. It's a lot of hard work, and I do work late hours. It just translates to being in the studio later, working on my music stuff later. So when I'm, in the office at 8 in the morning and I get done at 7, 8 o'clock at night, I find myself going to the studio, staying there till 2, 3 in the morning, and then kind of waking up and doing it all over again. It's tough, but, I look at music as a great hobby. It's a great outlet for me. It de-stresses me, and it's something that I look forward to do. So I don't really look at it as work so much, and, my bread and butter for money-wise and income is the bank. So I couldn't be without either of them.
Ah, okay, okay. So, but if it ever got to that point where the music was just making way, way more money, would you still do the banking, or would you say, well, this is really just a hobby? I made my money, but I still got to do my job. Would you how would you do that?
I would still try to stay involved with both, just because banking is something I got into as soon as I graduated college, and I have such a great team, and great people that work with me and for me, and it's just to abandon it, I would never really do that. I would probably become and put myself in more of a passive position to pursue and maybe juggle, a couple months out of the year, any kind of touring schedule, anything that might come across my plate, if I pursued music more heavily. So it would really be come down to crunch time and really have to lay out all the options and everything. But I would still try to keep my hand in both. But obviously, music is more fun and it's more my passion. So anytime that you can do music and make money and make a good living at it and be successful, it'd be pretty hard to resist.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Now I know you play the guitar. Do you play any other instruments as well?
Not really, no. Just guitar and sing is pretty much my main focus. I dabble with, playing the piano a little bit. I'm not that great at it, but I find that, that's all I really need. A lot of my songs, luckily, I'm blessed with being able to work with some good producers. Armond, Guarnera, out of Staten Island, a wonderful producer, and he's such a talented musician that on a lot of my songs, I mean, he could do anything from, playing live drums to, playing a fretless bass to playing mandolin. So for me, he's such a tremendous musician that it takes the burden off of me having to try to do that in the studio. So I leave that kind of stuff up to him, and for me it's just, guitar and vocals and sitting me down for hours and laying over tracks on top of, tracks and just coming up with, cool sounds, in collaboration with my producers.
Ah, okay, definitely, definitely. Now, I'm loving the song Money or Me. Now, for those who may haven't heard it yet, how would you describe that song?
Money or Me is just a cool fusion between rock and hip-hop. It's a song that I think a lot of people can relate to, whether you're a guy or a girl. I wrote the song because I felt that when you hit a certain age and you're successful, the older you get, it's kind of hard to find somebody that might be in love with you, but they might fall in love with your situation, and they might sacrifice maybe true love, and they might fall in love with you for your situation, your stability, your income, your job, the place that you live, and it's easy to fall in love with situations as opposed to the actual person itself. And I think that once you get out of that high school and college love where everything, even keel, when you come into real life situations, I think it's harder to find true love. So I wrote this song, Money or Me, and it's just based on, do you love me or do you love my money or my situation that I'm in, and you find yourself guessing that a lot in relationships. So that's kind of why I wrote it. But it's a cool groove. It's got this great, guitar riff in there, and I was able to have Jim Jones do a remix
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Would you ever you consider collaborating with Jim Jones again in the future?
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, anything. I would consider doing a whole album with him if I could, but you gotta break it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
he's been really cool to work with, and we work on other stuff together. And I know he's working on his new album, so he reached out to me and asked if I would return the favor and jump on one of his tracks. So very, very excited to work with him in the future.
Definitely, definitely. Let me ask you, this is a little off the subject, but the topic of the song Money or Me kind of inspired this question I'm about to ask. Are you familiar with a radio personality by the name of Tom Leykis?
Not offhand. No, not offhand. Where would I have heard him from?
Oh, well, he's actually a West Coast radio personality, but he's been on radio across the U.S., but he's on the internet now at blowmeuptom.com. And when you were talking about the single, he had a topic on his show, and his topic is kind of like a recurring topic about what you just said, where it seems like women are trying to get the highest bidder, or trying to get with the guy that has the most wealth or whatever they can attract, and it seems like men are trying to date the most attractive woman that they can afford.
Exactly, it's crazy, and I think that it truly comes down to it. The older you get, the more that comes into play. And I think that, during the main earning years, I think people are trying to come up, and I think that they're trying to put themselves in a better situation. So a lot of times people are willing to sacrifice true love, and they're willing to settle for mediocrity in a relationship if it puts them in a better situation.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that it circles back, though, because I think that once people go through that, I think that, a lot of times it ends up in divorce and things because they're together for the wrong reasons. And I think that when you remove the financial burden of it, I think that when people get older, when they hit their 40s, 50s, and 60s, they come back around to trying to find somebody that actually, is compatible and is, is a true love, and more of a soulmate. So I think that you have those middle years, those years of earning and situation that people do attempt to try to marry into money, and they try to fall in love with situations just because they feel that the clock is ticking and they got to do something. And a lot of times it's very attractive for people to just settle for the wrong reasons if it's just overall a better situation for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I actually have a relationship podcast myself, and I'm going to actually talk about this topic as well.
Well, I'm anxious to listen to that. Yeah, you get some good feedback from both sides. I bet. And it's not just and don't get me wrong, it's not just for men too, because I see it all the time with women, successful women as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just from a male's point of view. I wrote the song just in general that just people fall in love with people's situations rather than their themselves.
Exactly. Now you have another single, Right Heart's Wrong Time. Could you describe that as well?
Yeah, Right Heart, Wrong Time is just a really fun track for me because it incorporates music that I grew up listening to. I grew up loving and listening to the Gypsy Kings, and I was fortunate enough to have one of the original touring members of the Gypsy Kings, Christoph Citron, actually featured on this track with me. And he brings that really cool Latin vibrato chorus and background in, on top of my vocals. It's more geared towards, more of the dance, Latin dance, kind of house side of things. So it was a good switch, I would say, because it allows me to, broaden the genres, of which I do love, and I do love dance and house music. And the fact that I was able to incorporate Latin music into it, it really brought me into a whole new arena, and it brought me into, a whole new different fan base, which I like, and I think it's great because I think it's a good song. It's coming out, right before summer hits, and I think that the rhythm of the song, the passion of the song, with that Latin passion, sexiness that kind of culture brings, that I feel that I was able to capture and incorporate in this track, and I think that you can get the nylon strings of the guitar, and these Latin riffs, and my low tone voice with this nice work on a remix of this track, which is actually slated to come out at the tail end of May, early June, with Pitbull's camp, with 305 Records, with a feature from David Rush. And he's, a good hip-hop artist that actually, did that song Shooting Star with, Pitbull, and he was signed to 305 Records. So the fact that they wanted to work and do a remix of this track with me has just been, such a great thing for me, and so exciting. I can't wait for it to come out, with the remix. But this is a really cool song, and it really hits home for me.
Oh yeah. Now so far, what would you say is 3 of your biggest accomplishments as an artist? If you can only pick 3.
That's great. You know what? I think number 1 we already covered. I think working with Jim Jones, which is somebody that I'm a huge fan of, was very, very surreal to me, because we had met on the set of Dancing on Me, where I actually helped Jim Jones, Joel Santana, DJ Webstar, when they were doing that Dancing on Me track, and I helped them, securitize, a place to shoot the video, and I helped on the production side of things and getting the single released. And they put me in the video, and I was actually in the opening scene as the limo driver in it, which is really cool. But the fact for several years later to actually be doing a song in collaboration with Jim Jones has been a very big highlight to me. So I think that would be number 1. Number 2, I think that the fact of working with Daughtry and kind of seeing him go through, playing the guitar and singing in my garage, in a garage band, to taking the stage of American Idol and now selling out arenas and multi-platinum artists, I think is something that was big for me in my music career, because it let me know that things are possible. And I saw it firsthand, from playing in my garage to seeing him, selling out, tours and taking the stage and being such a huge presence. So to be part of that is something that, even though it's not directly, my music career now, but to be part of that was something that was very special to me. And I think lastly, it's a blend of different things, whether it be being number 1 featured on Reverb Nation, which is a very huge accomplishment. It's very hard to get to that number 1 spot, across the U.S. And I've been, holding it down for almost 25 weeks now, where I'm number 1 in local charts. I'm number 1 in the U.S. chart, number 2, globally for a singer-songwriter. And this is out of literally millions of musicians that put their music up, that, they have all these different algorithms that basically calculate charting and everything. So it's not just how many people listen to your song or your play. It's a lot of things, whether it be fan base and your social media and click-throughs when you send out fan emails and stuff. So it's really a huge accomplishment. So I would basically say that would be probably number 3 on the list, being featured number 1 on Reverb Nation.
Definitely.
Which I think is the largest independent artist portal, that's out there.
Definitely. Now, on the flip side of that, what would you say is one of your worst, one of the worst experiences you've had as an artist so far? And how'd you bounce back from it?
Yeah, well, you know what? I think as an artist, one thing that was pretty crazy is that I used to not only obviously pursue myself, in the music industry, but I also used to help other artists, preview with, A&Rs and pretty big labels. I remember it was about 2.5 years ago, I had a meeting with a pretty big record label executive, and I was supposed to bring, obviously, the music preview. And I always had a bad habit of not marking my CDs, that I had. Mm-hmm. And I was in a hurry, and it was in Manhattan, and, I was fighting traffic, and I was trying to make it because I wanted to make a good impression. When I got there, and I grabbed the CD, I started playing, and it was like Chris Brown, Take It to the Head or something like that. And I was so embarrassed because I grabbed the wrong CD, and I got a little bit red-faced, and, thank God they were cool about it and laughing about it, and we were able to log on, and I was able to pull stuff off the internet, but that's probably one of the most embarrassing moments.
Oh, oh yeah, I bet. Now, let me ask you something. Now, what would you say is some of the best ways to promote yourself as an artist?
There's so many now, on the internet. They made it so good for independent artists to be able to go out and reach out to networks
yeah, oh yeah. Also too, I saw that you also model as well. How's that been going, the modeling?
You know what? I've toned it down a little bit with the acting and the modeling. You know, as of the last 2 years, my focus has been more in the music arena. And as you know, with having a daytime job, I don't have a lot of spare time to go on castings and different things. So I did some print work and everything. I did a lot of different small acting and independent films, and some minor parts in some of the bigger films like Batman and everything. But that's kind of taken a back burner, and I've been more focused on the music end of things now.
Okay. Now, even though it's taking a back burner right now, I mean, maybe in the future you think you might, I guess maybe a role here or there, but you're not going to really push that as hard as the music at all, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm passionate about the music. Acting I do love, and that is a great outlet. The overall entertainment is important for me, and I do value and I do love all the different aspects of it. And there is a side of me that likes to be in front of the camera and everything. So I think that what's going to happen is, and knock on wood, hopefully my music makes an impact. Hopefully my music gets picked up maybe on some television and some TV and maybe even major films, which would be a great way to kind of bridge that gap from film to music and vice versa. And then I think that the exposure, and I'm getting a lot of magazine covers now. I think that I was in the cover of Social Magazine this past month. I think I'm in Rock This Magazine this month, coming up now with May. And I think I have a cover in June for True Entertainment. So I'm getting a lot of different covers of magazines, and I think that exposure may also open up the doors for other acting type things and movie maybe and some TV type opportunities. And I'll always, be willing to, as long as it fits within my schedule, to take on those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Now is there anything you would like to tell the listeners that you haven't already? Anything else you want to plug or anything?
Well, you know what? I just want to say thanks to everybody that's tuning in and listening to my stuff and spreading my music around. And I just want to thank everybody for all the constant support and positive energy that they give me and cool emails that they send me, via my Reverb Nation, my Twitter account. So I think that the easiest way to, stay on top of and keep track of all my music is to sign up under Matthew Schultz under my music page in Reverb Nation, or sign up to my Twitter account, which is under Schultz33, and just kind of tune in and stay in touch with me. And I love to stay in touch with everybody that's listening. It's constant support from everybody. I like to thank all my producers, Armond, Guarnera, his daughter Guarnera, who helps collate some of the songs with me, and a great publicist, Michelle from Doltry Entertainment. So I have such great people around me, and I just want to thank everybody. I'm extremely thankful right now for everybody that's in my life and this part of my career.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I definitely want to thank you for this interview. Definitely hold the line. I'm going to wrap this up for the listeners, but I want you to hold the line because I want to ask you a few quick little off-the-record type things and drops and things like that. Yeah, this has been Beyond the Music with just some guy named Jay. And we have Matthew Schultz with us. We're going to put all his links in the information box below. And yeah, thanks again.